Good evening and welcome to our live set of six, where we share the good, the great and the newsworthy of rugby league outside the heartlands. My name's Craig.
And my name's Carl, and on this week's set of six, we're going to be talking about the Wheelchair European Championship. We're going to be revealing the medals for the Midlands Nines Trophy, and we've also got an exclusive interview with Jamie Jones-Buchanan.
Okay, we go. Another week at it. Carl, just before we get started, how's your body holding up after our little touch rugby escapades last night?
Do you know what? I struggled to get out of bed this morning, but that ain't the first thing I expected you to say. I thought you was going to dive straight in with, "Oh, you've had your hair cut again this week," but you skipped that one.
I've not noticed. I thought you just had it kind of moved back a little bit.
Yeah, whatever, mate.
So we went to we played touch rugby back up and running at Telford Raiders. Me and Carl went there, bagged ourselves 4 tries between us, which I thought was awesome. However, absolutely aching this morning. So,
yeah, old boys won, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the old knackers. Right, let's get into our stories. Got some real good stories this week. Before we get going, I just want to kind of tee this up for later on in the show. So every week I do a Williams Weekly, and I just pick a topic out that we just want to get some comments, generate some comments on. By the way, you can comment throughout this show, and we'll bring them up on the screen, and you can interact with us as we go through. And we always give 10 Rugby League points, 10 Rugby League outsider points to the first person to comment, which you can redeem absolutely nowhere on the internet. But so this is the question that we're going to talk about this week. Like, the refs get a load of stick, right? But which referee has been performing the best in your opinion so far? So we're going to talk about that later on. You can share your comments if you want, but I won't bring those up onto the screen until later on. So that's the first thing I want to do. Next thing I want to talk about is this little conversation we've had with Rugby League legend and icon Jamie Jones-Buchanan, Cal.
Yeah, tackle one then. Jamie Jones-Buchanan has been announced as the chair of the New Look Inclusion Board for the RFL. He currently does a similar role at Leeds Rhinos, it's fair to say, isn't it, Craig? But yeah, he's taken on this new role with the RFL. I won't talk too much about it. I think we'll dive straight in with the interview here.
Really happy to contribute. Thanks for having me.
Jamie, obviously, it was announced by the RFL.
Really happy to contribute.
Or not.
Really happy to contribute. Thanks for having me.
Jamie, obviously, it was announced by the RFL this week that you've taken on a new role. Can you kind of tell us what that is? Maybe just give it a bit of time.
Really happy to contribute. Thanks for having me.
Jamie, obviously, it was announced by the RFL move on to tackle 2, Carl, and I'll try and get that sorted out. Perhaps tell us the story about how that role came about.
Yeah, ultimately, it's the chair of the Inclusion Board. I'm exactly a year now into my role as a board observer at the RFL. And being completely transparent and clean, that's a voluntary role, an opportunity that came off the back of me retiring in September 2019. I coached for 3 years, and then I started this role at the Leeds Rhinos as head of culture, diversity and inclusion, and then became director of culture, diversity and inclusion, and adopted a few little roles here, hybrid at the Leeds Rhinos, most of which is just recognising and celebrating the fact that as a club, and listen, I'll talk about the sport as a whole in a minute, but I'll be fortunate to see an environment change over the course of 27 years that started with a men's team. To a point now in 2024, I'm just sat next to training ground where we've got our men's young academy players, got our women's team, and as you know, we've got a wheelchair rugby league team, learning disability rugby league team, physical disability rugby league team, and even got a netball team. And our learning disability team won an award last year in 2023, the Everybody Moves Club of the Year award, and we celebrated that 2 weeks ago at Leeds Beckett University. And you basically see all these partnerships and collaborations in people's lives being enhanced and changed through the great game of rugby league. And I have a great sense of gratitude and thanks to the game, because I'm a working class lad from a small pocket of a working class town in West Leeds, and I had all the opportunities in the world to realise some of my potential and fulfil my dreams. And when I retired, I had this passion, this desire, probably a bit like yourselves, to pay that forward and showcase to the rest of the world who don't know about rugby league what it's all about. So, going back to this board observer role, that was an invitation for me that allowed me to come in and see the game at the governance level, right at the centre there, understand the other side of what I've become, what I know as the Rubik's Cube. And by the Rubik's Cube, it's like, because I do a little bit of work on Sky, I've always been involved to some degree in the media. I've been a coach, a player. I'm a dad of 2 boys in scholarship in academy, so I get it through that lens. I'm a supporter. I watch it every week. The role at RFL and all these little pockets. I see the game from slightly different angles. And sometimes you see, for example, broadcast might want to move one side of the cube to enhance the game, and it might inadvertently move other sides of it. I've probably explained it before. And in the past, there used to be uproar because nobody liked their side of the cube moving, but there seems to be this sort of ubiquitous appreciation of the fact that rugby league's a great game, and actually we need to work together and collaboratively for it to reach its potential. And now that I see more at the RFL through this board observer role, it enables me to articulate, I'd like to think and hope, a better point when telling the story of rugby league. So that's where it started there with the board observer. This new opportunity as chair of the inclusion board following Rick Rimler at TAS departure in December has come up, and I'm really looking forward to starting that role very soon.
Tell me what you've learned from your role at Leeds Rhinos that you're hoping to bring to the RFL.
It's a great question, I think it feeds into something I learned when I retired from playing. So I retired from playing with 8 grand final rings, right? And I played with an unbelievable cohort of players. I always laugh at the fact I was a distinctly average player that played with an exceptional group of individuals. And I went on this amazing journey, but I retired and made a bit of a mistake in thinking I understood what success looked like. And it was sort of right culturally, contextually at a certain point in time. But to quote Stephen Covey, we often see the world as we are, not as it is. And I had to just shut up talking, start listening and open my eyes and understand everybody else's experience and context. And that did. And whether it be men's, women's, wheelchair, from a fan's point of view, and start living and seeing the game through that lens. And again, going into RFL and seeing it I think concussion's a great starting point. Everybody's got an opinion about concussion. There's almost this soup around brain health. And whether you're talking about, we did this last time, didn't we, last time we spoke, whether you're talking about the role change or MND or Alzheimer's, which are all nuanced in the sense that they're all neurological conditions. There's a lot of cross-pollination of information. Unless you're really specific about certain bits of information, it can be confusing. But ultimately, it's for the greater good of the game that the RFL and the governing body's done what they've done in this last 6 months. Not without turmoil, not without drama, but what I've been really impressed by, and I think I'd evidence this by pointing you to an interview with Ryan Brierley and Tanya Arnold on the 5 Live podcast there. How transparent and forthcoming people like Robert Hicks, Tony Sutton, Simon Johnson have been at the RFL in inviting players in to have a voice, to listen, to help support them understand why they're doing what they're doing. And I think once everybody gets the right information, right, then they usually buy into it because they understand and they're allowed to feed into that as well. So they're the biggest things that I've learned, is to be patient with people, give them as much information as possible, and always try and be transparent.
Jeremy, the way I look at it is, I don't think you can have so much inclusion and diversity without the right culture. What's your kind of goal? What's your thoughts on perhaps changing, improving, keeping some things the same so that we get a culture that attracts people to the game? Yeah,
well, my job role, I'll just move back to the Rhinos. Culture, diversity and inclusion. It's a slightly different title to what you come across in other environments, which would be EDI, equality, diversity and inclusion, or equity, diversity and inclusion. The interesting thing about culture is at the bottom, at the centre of culture is a common thread. So there's a consistency of belief and values. Now, when you invite in diversity and inclusion, what you're actually saying is, well, we want a difference of opinion. So get difference of opinion whilst having a consistent group of moral values can be tricky if it's not managed properly.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important. And what I've come to understand is whenever we're progressing, and we see this in life everywhere, is I think the best form of evolution and progression comes from understanding and hearing as many different vantage points and viewpoints as you can. Now, everybody's got an insight, because there's 7 billion people on the planet, right? And we'd be naive to think that when we wake up, no matter what we think we know about a certain topic, we'd be naive to think that we've got all the answers, because we're just 1/7 billionth of the totality of perspective in the world. Yeah. So you've got to listen, and those who are passionate about certainly rugby league, I think, have all got the best intentions at heart. Now, when it comes to the inclusion board, what we're trying to do with rugby league is make it as accessible as possible. And quite often, when boards are put together, and people like myself get these opportunities, again, a lot of these are voluntary roles. People think that there's a problem, and I think one of the biggest tasks we've got in rugby league is to just showcase and point a finger at the great work that's already being done by some of these people. And I've known, I'll point some names. Kelsey Gentles, who's on the inclusion board there, went to Papua New Guinea in 2019 with England Women's Rugby League, and seen the development of Women's Rugby League and women's sport in general. It's massive. Yeah. If you could invest in the stock market and women's sport was on there, you'd tip all in, because it's going through the roof, and rightly so. It's fantastic, not just in rugby league, but across the board. I've seen the women's game flourish and thrive. John Hughes, I met John Hughes a fair few years ago, and the work that he's done with learning disability rugby league, fantastic. And I was involved in that long before I finished playing, because I was amazed at how it allows anybody of all ages, abilities, backgrounds to come and play rugby league and enjoy the sport, and that's what it's about. And so the reason I started doing what you're doing now in about 2013, 2014, running around with a DSLR and a microphone, was to just do that, tell everybody what we're doing as a sport and how we change lives. Because I've had my life changed, and I'm so appreciative of it. So there's always little problems, little issues that raise themselves, things that we can be miles better with. Recently I've had a lot of conversation with Ikram, but was well known for some of his pioneering work within his faith and religion. And we just had Ramadan, and the work that he's doing there with fasting, and some of the players, and making sure it's safe and it's accessible and accepted, and there's a vehicle for them to practice their faith while still enjoying the game of rugby league. It's so important. Michael Lawrence is on that board, Heather Robinson, Dan Clark, James Child. It's about saying this is an amazing game. We all call it the best game in the world, but we've got to make sure everybody knows it's accessible and open for everybody to come in.
Okay, now the full clip will be on YouTube later today. But Jamie Jones Buchanan, he spoke so well about his new role and what it means to him and all this kind of stuff. So check out that clip afterwards. It's really quite interesting. He mentioned there also about Ramadan. We did do a clip with Ilyas Makani early. I think it was last week. We did a clip with that, didn't we, Carl? And yeah, that was really interesting. Getting his take on Ramadan and breaking the fasts, and having sort of like a 3-minute break or something like that for people that were observing Ramadan. So check that clip out as well. And I think rugby league is one of the most inclusive sports in the world, and I think, but there's still room for it to be improved. Anything else to say on that, Carl?
No, he spoke really well about culture. I think culture is such an important thing. Like I say, in the full extended interview, goes into a little bit more depth. And just Eid Mubarak to all the people who have been fasting. It is Eid tomorrow, Craig, I do believe.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Right, moving on. Story number 2. Tweet of the week you pulled out this
Well,
one.
Is it tweet of the week, or it's the not the tweet of the week again? Look, Leigh Leopards, they seem to have flagged this one up all the time for us. Derek Beaumont took a shot at his own social media crew this week live on Twitter for everybody to see. So I'll read it out here. You've got he was sort of tweeting the Leigh Twitter feed. He put, this Twitter feed is a joke for supporters trying to follow the game. Has someone resigned without my notice? Set by set coverage is the brief. Now, if that was your boss, Craig, and you was getting publicly shamed, what would you think?
Well, I'm a massive believer that in all organisations and all enterprises, you've got to have trust. And, you know, if you're going to get publicly shamed like that, whether he's doing a good job, bad job, there's a way to do it. You know what I mean? And it certainly wouldn't invoke trust in me. You know, I often teach at my place of work, the communication square. So you imagine a square, person in the middle, you know, you got to be saying the right thing is one corner, at the right time another corner, in the right place, in the right manner, to the right person, and you get this square. He missed that in so many levels.
Did he miss all four corners of that square?
Yeah, he's just done
he was just a circle in the middle, on it. But you know, this isn't the first time, is it, that Lee have been in the headlines for something like this on social media. Their Twitter account famously has had some real gaffes. But you know, I actually looked at their Twitter feed during that game and thought, oh, I wonder if they haven't been doing many updates. There was absolutely loads. I think it was more the fact that they were losing.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good news to.
He needed to take it out on somebody, and this week it was the social media guys.
So I get the impression that he was out in the south of France on the piss, watching the Catalan game, wasn't he? But then he was trying to follow the game, the league game on. They were getting. You know, they were getting spanked, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they weren't. No,
they weren't getting spanked, but they weren't really in the game.
Yeah, yeah, and he obviously took a bit of.
I'll read a couple of. I'll read a couple of the comments that came underneath this. The ones that weren't X-rated and full of. Anyway, so he put no else to moan about this week. So he's picked on this total donut of the first order. That was one of the comments. And somebody else put, Derek, PM me your address and I'll order some books on leadership off Amazon for you. My treat. Wherever you think this sort of behaviour is, it isn't that. And then somebody else put, probably couldn't see at the beginning through the thick smoke.
Well, yeah. What about that? Anyone that watched the game, you know, these. Well, it was absolutely bucketing it down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it was like on the fringes of a storm, and they had these fireworks, as they do. You know, they like to put on a big show, and but because of the weather and the strong winds over the stadium and all that kind of stuff, all the smoke just stayed inside the stadium, wouldn't clear. You know what I mean? So you literally the kickoff was postponed, you know, only for a few minutes and what have you, but it was just a little bit comical. There were players on the pitch, like you just see silhouettes of people going, "What the hell's going on?" You know, and it was like
a famous night at Odsal I was once at when the fog came in and the game got abandoned because none of the spectators could see the pitch. I can't remember who that was against, but yeah, I remember going to watch a game.
It was abandoned.
They abandoned the game. Like, I think they played for like 20 minutes and then this fog came in, just sat in the bowl at Odsal. Nobody could see.
Yeah.
And yeah, they just went off and a few days later had to replay the game.
I'll tell you, look, slightly different track, but when I was in the Marines, we did this big demonstration in Zimbabwe, right? So it was a big like show of force to the like Mozambique. Don't fuck about with Zimbabwe because they're friends with the Brits. You know what I mean? So we did this thing.
Bang bang, we've got all this going on.
Yeah, we did everything from like pistols all the way to like fast air, like missiles getting fucking fired, and everything in between, right? Anyway, so then we had the machine guns like opened up, and you know they work in like sets of threes, and you have the rounds. I don't want to get too like, you know, into the lingo, but you have these rounds that you can see in the night. They're called tracer rounds. They're fucking phosphorus, basically, you know. And with these machine guns, it's like every other round is like a phosphorus round. So you could just see it like lasers going through the sky, and it was like this. And the whole fucking grassland just set alight, right? And there was like a massive forest fire. And I just remember sitting there going, how many like big game are getting fucking either shot or roasted or what? You know what I mean? And it was like that storm, right? Get down there and put it out. You know what I mean? We had to run. And it was just absolutely chaos, smoke everywhere. Like, don't talk to me about fighting fires in Australia. This thing was horrendous.
So that was like a night in Lee. That was, yeah,
yeah, just like a night in Lee. Yeah, but, leopards, leopards everywhere.
But all right, there has been a comment coming. I was going to mention this. Is he not as daft as he looks though? Because this got 266,000 views. Now they may be for the wrong reason, but in a world where IMG are rating your every move on social media, engagement, and all the rest of it. Was it a smart move, really? Because it got loads of attention.
Well, I mean, there are some advocates that like any news is good news. You know, the minute you're out of the news, like you're
irrelevant.
Yeah, you're irrelevant. And maybe it was, or maybe I don't think he expected to get the reaction he got, because it did paint him in a bad light. You know what I mean? I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that are not Derek Bowman fans, and there's less now. But no, there's more people that are not fans, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so I don't think he did himself any favors. So I don't think it was staged, but it definitely got a lot of coverage. And this is just the world we live in, isn't it? Like, bad news travels so fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah, so that's a comment that Chris has brought up. Was this tweet staged for more social media engagement? Is, you know, like I say, I don't think it was, but he hasn't done his IMG rankings any harm with that whatsoever in this crazy world.
Just another little comment there from Phil Rogers. How you doing, Phil? Good luck, JJB. Fingers crossed. Hopefully you can make a difference. Right, okay, so we need to move on, Carl, to the next story. Midlands Nines.
Yes, the medals for the Midlands Nines have arrived, Craig.
Can I just, before you show the medal, can I just ask you, because obviously you put these designs together, you know, you've worked really hard to get these up. First foremost, well done. You've done a great job with it. You don't take compliments very well, Carl. Look,
no.
So talk to me a little bit about your thinking behind the medals and the trophy, because the whole thing, you know, you've kind of, you've tried to get to a high standard, haven't you?
Well, you know what I'll say with the medal? You know, when I designed the logo, I actually had the medal in mind when I designed the logo.
What, the Midlands Nines?
Yeah, I knew straight away I'd like to have that cut out part on the logo, which is, you know, why I went down that.
Why? What is the cutout about?
I don't know.
You just like it, how it looks.
I think it just works. It looks a bit. The RFL and the NRL have both got something similar, so I wanted to make sure we were up to that sort of standard, and then obviously we've incorporated our trusty cow sirloin, who features on the medal as well. Anyway, so
but you know, just tell me about like the stand, like, because it's, you know, it's a great looking medal. I'll bring up a little picture on the old thing so people can see it. It's a great looking medal. You and I have won finals in the Midlands, right? We've ended up with dog shit medals, and you just didn't want to be like that, did you? So,
well, yeah. And have you kept any of them? Because I haven't.
No, I think I might have one in the garage somewhere. That's
exactly. And like I think you said the nail on the head weeks ago. They just end up in the bin. They're the same medals you were winning when you were under nines at school. You want something to feel proud about, and that's what we've tried to do with the tournament. We've tried to get the standard as high as we possibly can, and this is, you know, how the medal was born, really. I think I'm really happy with it, and I believe that anybody competing is going to want to win one of these. You know, it's not cheap and nasty, is it? And that'll complement the trophy that we have as well.
Yeah, so we're going to play the trophy reveal video. It's only a couple of minutes long, but we just want people to understand, like, you know, we have put a lot of work into this. We want it to be a spectacle in the Midlands, you know, an area that's often forgotten about with rugby league. The festival, the tournament we're putting on is literally down the road from where rugby originated. You know, if the what was it, William Webb Ellis? Legend, I think, is true. It's in question at times, but
rugby union might have stole a little bit of that story, aren't they? But yeah, looks middle of the country. There's no reason why the Midlands Nines can't be, you know, one of the biggest nines tournaments in the country in years to come, and that's where we eventually want to get it to. So we've, you know, started as we mean to go on, and here's the trophy video. There you have it then, the Midlands Nines Trophy. And we're getting very close now, 17 days away, I believe it is. There's a lot of stuff on the website as well at the minute. We've got bell tents available for anybody who wants to take them. So they house 10 people. Camping is also available at £5 per person, or you can take one of these bell tents, which is 100 quid, but it sleeps 10. Not much more to say about that.
No.
Those festival tickets obviously are starting to sell.
Yeah, so if you don't know what it's about, Nines competition, music festival at night time. Not going to go on about it anymore. Check it out, midlandsnines.com. Okay, so we can move on to the next tackle then.
Yeah, on the tackle 2 then. So this week was the Wheelchair European Championship. So the winners of the French League, which was Catalan Dragons, took on Wigan Warriors, the winners of the Wheelchair Super League in the UK. And Catalan Dragons came out on top 68 points to 28, which a lot of people actually predicted.
Yeah, I mean, it was very different to last year's event, the same event. But what caught my eye was obviously Seb, a friend of the show. We've interviewed him a few times.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time with him in the wheelchair training camp. And I remember watching Seb play against the French players when the England team played France. And the French had it in for him, and I thought these guys freaking hate each other. They really, really hate each other, and they were smashing each other. They were giving him loads of shit. And then I realised just the other day when I saw the pictures that actually the teammates.
It's just sport.
It is sport.
That's I always remember watching State of Origin, and you have teammates, best mates who room together. They got on the pitch at State of Origin and knocked 10 bells of crap out of each other. It's just exactly the same thing. And once that whistle goes for that 80 minutes, game on. After that, back to being mates again.
But it's good that the allegiance to the international shirt supersedes that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Seb said that, didn't he, when we spoke to him before? I may play in France, I may live in France, but I am English, and I am proud to represent the England cross every time I wear it.
By the way, so if you want to see that, Seb, we'll try and get it in the description, comments, whatever, I don't know, but you'll find it on our YouTube channel. Really interesting. He was whacked off his motorbike, you know what I mean, a few years ago. He was lucky to survive, and now he's playing wheelchair rugby league and just smashing it up at international level. Yeah,
I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown on the game then. So Wigan scored first. They scored the first try. Seb Bachara then scored, which then sort of sparked a bit of a run-in for France. They scored 5 tries in 13 minutes. The floodgates really opened. 46 points to 12 at half-time it was. And then the only thing I was like to point out here, the Catalan side have got the Golden Boot winner. Is it Golden Boot winner in wheelchair rugby league? I may have got that wrong. So they got Jeremy Borson, yeah. They're my best northern French there. He was the 2023 Golden Boot winner. Seb was also the 2022 Golden Boot winner. So no surprise that the French team came out on top on that.
Yeah, and also a hat trick for Declan Roberts. So maybe I might be getting an international call up at some point this year as well.
Well, he was very close, wasn't he, last time? And Adam Rugby also scored. So the finished score was Catalan 68, Wigan 28, and it was great to see the RFL using the new pitch that they bought for the international series. Good to see it being used in a different arena that we've not seen before. I would have liked to have seen a bit more promo on the run up to that. It kind of caught me by surprise. Yeah. That's a massive game. I think. Could that have been the same weekend as the Penrith Wigan game to give it a bit more of a boost? It wasn't a huge arena that it was in. I think that we could have done more with that.
Take it to Vegas.
Just take it to another level. I'm sure there's interest there for wheelchair rugby league, and these big games like this, there's many eyes on them as possible. It was televised on the Sportsman though.
Right, so talking about the next level and big games, big teams, big budgets, the Sky Sports run a story where they estimated the salary caps on the Super League teams, and that's our next story, Carl.
Yes, I thought this was really interesting. I mean, we have to say that the salary cap figures are estimated, but Sky Sports have said they put an awful lot of work into it. So the sort of expenditure of the clubs has been asked. No surprises that London Broncos are at the bottom of that, only spending 1.4 million, so they're way off the salary cap. Wigan, the highest spending club, which doesn't surprise me, at 3.1 million. Is there any that sort of stand out to you there, Craig?
Yeah, there's two that stand out to me. First of all, being a Leeds Rhinos fan, joint fourth with Huddersfield and St Helens there. That's one, it surprises me. I thought would have been up sort of top 1, 2, 3, being a one-club city and a big club at that, with the huge crowd. I thought would have spent a bit more. But also, I'd just like to get a bit more for my money. Not my money. It's not my freaking money, but a bit more for that money this season.
Yeah, than what they're actually doing. Yeah, because, I mean, if you look at sort of St Helens that have spent the same sort of money, they're getting more for their money out there than what Leeds are, definitely, at the minute.
And then the other one is, joint 10th, Salford Red.
Yeah,
Salford Red Devils.
That was the one that. So Salford have estimated to have spent 1.7 million. It's only just it's not far from London, in all honesty. But they're getting really good value for money for that, aren't they? Yeah. So, they're punching way above their weight again, like they have done for the past couple of seasons. Yeah, they're doing really well for what they've spent. And Hull FC, they haven't spent big again, but that is starting to show, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And there's quite a gap, of like 0.4 million, so £400,000 between
it's a lot of money, isn't it?
And Lee. That's a big difference there, for people that want to be contending, want to be up there in the playoffs.
So the salary cap, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I do believe it's around 2.2, 2.4 million. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah.
It's around that. And then if you've got marquee players, I think you're allowed 3 marquee players. Yeah. To take your cap above that, which obviously Wigan, Catalan, Warrington have all spent.
A couple of questions coming in. Phil Rogers saying, how Salford are competitive on that, and what we spend is beyond me. Great coaching, recruiting, 100%. I saw a meme actually, and the meme was like Rowan Smith, and it was like that, workshop with Rowan Smith, how you turn like amazing players into bang average in one season, and I was like, this is entirely true. There was also, hand in hand with that, a comment on Instagram. I can't remember who it was now, but basically saying, do you think JJB's got it within his power to send Rowan Smith to the Sun, or at least perhaps just throw out the occasional long dropout? Anyway, I'm hammering Leeds there, but you're right. We both agree. Phil, with you, that it's just incredible what they're doing there on such a spend. Another comment, a question, Carl, I'd love to get your answer on this is, hey guys, great show. Do you think there should be a minimum level on the salary cap as well?
Oh, I've never been asked that before, but yeah, I think there probably should be, actually. I think if you can't hit a minimum spend and you're in the top flight, you probably shouldn't be there. What do you think on that? I think he's right.
Yeah.
There should be minimum standards expected for being in Super League.
There is, but there's only what that could end up doing then is overpaying players, and that we saw what happened to Leeds United. Back in the day, they got absolutely decimated by overpaying players, and then they wouldn't relinquish their contract, and it freaking ruined the club.
I think as long as it's realistic, everything's got to be realistic, hasn't there? Sky Money brings in so much money to a club. Therefore, I think you should be expected to spend at least X amount.
But my point here is, look at London. London didn't know they were getting promoted until pretty much the last minute.
Yeah, true.
And by that time, all the players were gone. We've spoke about this before. Any player of mega value was done. Now they might be able to pick, the likes of Texoy getting moved on from Hull now, or he's ducking out, whatever the arrangement is there, becoming available, and maybe they can spend a little bit more. But they just weren't the players because all the deals had been done, and they were left. I don't want to say with the scraps, because I think personally they're doing great with the money they've spent.
I agree.
And, I think they're excited. It might only be for 10 minutes here and there.
I suppose what you can say about London is they may not be spending as much money as other clubs, but they're actually giving a lot of local London talent debuts in the league this year, and they brought another 2 through last week that had the debut. So, yep, I'm probably backtracking on what I originally said. There's a comment coming from Phil, though. You have to spend the minimum of 95% of the cap in the NRL.
Yeah.
I suppose this question is going to take on a different meaning in another year's time, because we're not going to have promotion and relegation. So you're not going to have London in that situation where they're scrambling around to buy players at the last minute, because it's all done on a points-based system, and essentially the Super League is going to be a shut shop in it after this year, certainly till teams reach minimum standards. So I think I'm probably backtracking on what I said earlier. I think minimum standards need to be hit with regards to the other IMG criteria, but spend on players probably doesn't have to be.
Did you see the post from Eddie Hearn? And you basically said there's no stars in rugby league.
I did,
which I thought was a low blow. Anyone, what's people's thoughts on that? I thought it was an absolute low blow. You look at Jai Field, Bevan French, just tearing. Mark Sneed is tearing up the thing. Yeah, exciting to watch.
Yeah, to us, because we watch rugby league all the time. Yeah, but he actually had a valid point. He doesn't watch rugby league, but yet he doesn't know any of the stars of the game. Whereas in years gone by, even if you didn't watch rugby league, you probably knew who Martin Afaya was. You probably knew who Jason Robinson was. You probably knew who Ellery Hanley were.
Yeah.
So he does have a point, I think.
Right, I've got it. But what I'm saying there is, so it's in our interest to have a minimum spend, because we want to attract stars. We want to attract people. All right, slightly different conversation there about how do you raise these star profiles. Tech Bevan French, put him on a bigger platform or whatever to improve his profile outside the sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've kind of hammered this a little bit, but I think we need a minimum spend.
Okay.
Chris Chatton, London play an exciting brand of rugby. If they can get a full strength squad on the pitch, I think they could win a couple of games. I completely agree. Your take?
Yeah, I still think London will win some games this season. I'd be interested to see how Hull FC go on next time they play. Definitely.
Okay, we're going to move on. So we're going to move on to the Williams Weekly.
I'll just quickly chuck in, we were on about the salary cap. I'm looking at the league table. Yeah, it does mirror not exactly. It pretty much mirrors, though, what the teams have been spending. Apart from Leeds and Salford, obviously hitting above their weight at 7th. So they're ranked 10th on what they've spent, but they're currently 7th in the table.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's funny when money's always the conversation in rugby league. We need more money spent on this. We need more money spent on that. And I was thinking about this when I was driving along the other day, and I was thinking, I don't think there's a team out there that's got enough money. You know what I mean? Of any sport,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any sport that's got enough money. I don't think there's but what some teams, what they're lacking, there's a great, quote, if you like, from business, and that is, you don't need resources. What you need is resourcefulness, and it's what Salford do, where they're just getting the best from their players. They bought aged players that some clubs didn't want. You know what I mean? They brought them in. They're getting the best from them. Flip to Leeds, and they're not getting the best out of those players for whatever reason. I don't know what those reasons are. So I think the teams need to be a little bit more.
I would hope that Salford scouts are probably some of the best paid members of staff at that club, because Salford have brought some real great players in, clearly on a great budget over the past couple of years. Yeah, massively punched above their weight.
Is it worth looking at the results there, Carl, from this league as well?
I've brought a couple of them up. We do a predictions episode every Wednesday, don't we, Craig? And I did pull 2 points on you this week. With a couple of big wins. So I predicted that Catalan were going to beat the Saints, and you went the Saints. Great game that was, by the way. Did you watch that one?
Game. Yeah.
Tariq Sims, he's just absolutely smashing people in defence.
Well, do you know my thing with Catalan at the minute, and I didn't think they'd pull it off this early in the season. They were weak in the middle, right? And I thought, give it probably 10 rounds, they'll sort that out. And they've done it early, and that's what the big difference was, I think, at the weekend, is they were just so strong in the middle, big enforcers in the middle, and Saints couldn't deal with it.
Huge amount of French players playing this week as well, which is really great to see. Catalan have They're getting to that point now where they're really bringing the French talent through, which you would hope that when that gets onto the international stage, they replicate that. So, which they haven't done for years. Moving on, Warrington beating Leeds was a big turn up for the Bucks. I thought
big kick in the nuts.
I mean, I did think it was coming, but I didn't expect Leeds to be as poor as they were. They were looked a little bit lost for ideas. Game plan wasn't there at all.
Yeah, I've not got a lot to say about that. I was quite disappointed.
Shock win, Castleford beating the Red Devils.
Yeah, good effort, Cass.
Yeah, I mean, Cass have been getting better, haven't they, last couple of weeks. Didn't expect that, though. The Wigan result expected. Hull KR absolutely blitzed London in the first half, and it was over by half-time, that one was. Women's Challenge Cup, couple of results. I mean, I could have pulled loads of the results. I've pulled in a sort of couple of important ones. Wigan Warriors v Cardiff Demons, which is one we were really keeping an eye on. Cardiff team from outside the heartlands. They've already picked up 2 big wins. Yeah. Salford and Barrow, was it, that they beat the week before? So I was interested to see how they got on against Wigan, but they did fall quite short. They're playing them again this weekend in the knockout stages of the Cup as well.
Another interesting score that we kind of brushed over there is the Bradford score. Obviously, they couldn't get a team together for the
Saints, the week before.
Yeah, and then they go down 48-0 to London Broncos.
Yeah, but we spent a lot of time with the London Broncos women's team, and another club we feel invested in. They're doing a lot right. They're working really hard down there. And it doesn't surprise me that result doesn't.
Okay, so if we're moving on, the Williams Weekly. So I posed this question at the start of the show, and or the top of the show, as they say in the business, and basically what we thought we'd do, like referees get a load of stick, and it's almost become like a bit of a sport, and we get hammered. But I think they're doing some good stuff, and I just wondered, in the viewers' opinions, like who has been the best ref this year so far. I've got a winner. Have you got a winner, Cal? Or not a winner, I suppose.
Do you know what? Do you know I haven't? And do you know why? Because I'd say that I'll be open and honest here. I think the refereeing standard's been really good this year.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a bad ref.
No, I don't think there's so much a bad ref, but the one that kind of stands out for me, I like the way he manages the game. I like the way he interacts with the players, is Liam Moore. I just I think when he's refereeing, I think you just get a good flowing game of rugby, and I think he does a great job.
I don't think you just get a good flowing game of rugby. I think he manages the players. He's probably number one, isn't he?
I would, yeah.
He manages the players better than anybody else. He never gets anybody's backs up. He didn't seem to ever get any sort of cause any arguments on the pitch. Goes about his business quietly but firmly. I would agree with. I think Liam Moore is probably the ref of the year so far. But like I said, there's some great refs this year. Chris Kendall. There's always been in Super League, there's always been like a pantomime villain, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Every year there's been a pantomime villain. It were Ganson, or it were Russell Smith back in the day. But there isn't anybody. I think the standards with the RFL refereeing is really high now, and there isn't that ref. I mean, some probably Saints fans are probably going to jump on now saying it's Kendall, or it's Leeds fans are going to say it's. But to me, no, I think our standard of refereeing is great.
Yeah, I think
unless you're Australian, and then they completely disagree.
Yeah, well, who was it from the Catalan player last year? I can't remember his name now, but he absolutely slayed. He says when they're playing Wigan.
Oh, was it Mitchell Pearce?
Oh, Mitch Pearce, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was saying, when you're playing Wigan or Saints, the referees are out and out cheats. And I was like, that's a bit fucking strong. I don't know if that's the case really, but I think what I would do is I would just encourage fans of the sport to be careful here, because let's relate it to politics, right? I know we always promised that we wouldn't talk about politics, but we have got some shit politicians in this country.
Yeah, all of them.
But yeah, all of them. But it's our fault, right? And here's why it's our fault. We are never going to get someone who's excelled in business become a politician. Why would they? Because they're just going to get slated. We're never happy. We fucking berate them, whatever decision they make. Right? I know they make some dodgy shit decisions because they're just career politicians, and they don't come with any skill or any. And we're never gonna get that because they know, like, why would you bother? You've got to be pretty fucking stupid to leave the world of business, throw yourself into politics where you're not going to make a difference, and everybody's going to freaking berate you anyway. And I just want people to be careful that they don't do the same thing with referees, because without them, we don't have a game.
No.
And actually, we spoke to some amateur referees last year. It was one of our most popular episodes. And it was really insightful as to what they're dealing with on the pitch and what they're looking at, and that's without video referees and all this kind of thing. So that's my phrase, isn't it? All this kind of thing. I just remember I've got to stop doing that. But we just got to be careful. And you see it every week, every game, someone will put and go, fucking referees, you know what I mean? The cheats, they've got the 14th man for whoever, you know what I mean? It's the same jokes we roll out, but just be careful, I think.
Yeah, well, if you talk about politics any longer, mate, I'm just going to have to cut you off air. That's your one warning for the year, that is.
Yeah, Chris is saying Ben Thaler has been the top ref for many years. He has, but he has also, he was just a gobshite as well, wasn't it? But he's also been a little bit of a pantomime villain at times as well. You know what I mean? People love slagging off Ben Thaler, slip of the tongue there. James Vella has impressed me. Yeah, definitely doing an excellent job in only his second year of Super League. Yeah, he's definitely stood out as well.
Gone a bit under the radar, James Vella has, but he's got a really good point there.
Okay, that's a good little discussion there. So if you've got more comments on that, just keep sending them through. Really interested in what you think. Before we kind of wrap up, Carl, what's your kind of say? We like to do a good shirt review.
Wow, look at that, eh?
And I don't know if you've
breaking this. It was just announced, wasn't it? This with only an hour or so ago. I thought I had to throw it in. That is some shirt. That is.
Well, just so you're aware, it's not an April Fool's or anything like that. So Salford have created this limited edition shirt where they've amalgamated all the shirts throughout the Super League era and they've only done 150 of these shirts, and they're uniquely numbered. So someone's going to get number one, and someone's going to get 150. So what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that? It's bold, isn't it?
It is bold, but it's not that bad actually.
No, it's not that bad, and it's what I like is it's an enterprise that. We want clubs to come up with enterprising ideas. Let's get it out there. If there's 150 like diehard fans that buy that shirt, brilliant. Because what?
Phil says that was designed after a night on the Guineas.
Yeah, it's definitely tested the people that have made the shirt. Like,
do you know what it reminds me of?
What?
A better version of a Harlequin shirt.
The better version.
Yeah. No, the Harlequin shirt. They're crazy, aren't they? But they're just that's the rugby league way of doing a Harlequin shirt. That is, I think.
Okay, Carl. Final look forward then before we wrap it up.
So this week's podcast is a great podcast. So we've got Kevin Rudd. He's currently with Elmbridge Eagles, but he's done everything, hasn't he, Craig? This guy has done absolutely everything. I assure you, it is a great watch this week. So I'm trying to think just the things he has done. He's been involved in a number of clubs starting up and nations starting rugby league. He was at Nottingham Outlaws or Nottingham City, or they may have been called then when they first set up. He helped set up clubs up north. He was involved with Netherlands Rugby League as they were getting established. He was also part of it was like a committee group that ratified Catalan Dragons Super League entry, wasn't it?
Yeah, Serbia, Russia, UK,
Serbia. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Japan. Just so many. In fact, he came with this big, dusty old bag of shirts that he'd got from his mum's house.
Russian shirts in there, yeah.
And he was pulling out these shirts from all the way from like early Nottingham shirts to
Scotland shirts.
Yeah, it was just fascinating listening to him. And he came across very, very humble.
Yes.
And, he clearly knows a thing or two about governance, and how things should be run correctly, so that, it's just solid foundations. And it was really interesting listening to that. So check it out.
How long's the episode in total?
It's
got to be over an hour.
Yeah, it's over an hour. I think it's like 120 minutes.
But it could have been a 4-hour feature length episode. He's done that much in the game. It could have been such a long episode.
Yeah, I mean, but also it was interesting. I mean, the time flew by when we was recording it and chatting to him. It was like, where the hell do we go from here? And also, if the episode gets a couple of 100 views, I'm going to post a picture of me wearing a Russian shirt. It's the worst picture I think I've ever had in my life. You had some funky shirt, didn't you? What did you have?
What did I have on?
You had like Japan, or
I had Japan,
Ukraine,
which was a very similar design to the '96 Steve Prescott St. Helens shirt, I believe it was. I think that was the one I ended up wearing.
Yeah.
We'll dig them photographs out anyway.
And I got this horrendous Russian shirt.
It was like burgundy and blue on it.
Shocking. Shocking. Anyway, listen, we're gonna wrap it up. Carl, any final words?
You always catch me out with it. Any final. I'm interested to keep an eye on the Challenge Cup this week. So it's getting to the business end, isn't it? We've gone through that. We had the community clubs. Everybody loved that part about it. And then we had that weird phase that nobody were interested in. And now we're getting at the business end. So the Challenge Cup quarterfinals this week will be on BBC. Looking forward to getting stuck into that and seeing how that goes. And a shout out to this team of the week we haven't mentioned this week. Oh. Swinton Lions defeating Toulouse in Toulouse. Yeah. What a massive result that was. No, I did not see that one coming.
No, not at all. Okay, so thanks as always to you viewers, listeners. Make sure you check out that podcast episode and the interview with Jamie Jones Buchanan. So until next week, take care.